Thank you for joining me today on the Moms Who Know podcast, the podcast for moms who know that when they take care of themselves, they can take better care of everyone else. I'm your host, Chanel Nielsen, and our guest today is Julia Hickman. Today's topic is all about our physical bodies, and we really cover both fitness and get into the idea of dealing with secondary infertility, which is something Julia has struggled with. We talk about our bodies and how they can be our greatest ally or not. Sometimes our bodies can feel a little bit like the enemy. So lots of good stuff today. I hope you love this episode. Hello and welcome to the Moms Who Know podcast. I'm your host, Chanel Nielsen, and my guest today is Julia Hickman. Julia, thank you so much for being with us.
Hi, Chanel. I'm so excited to be here and chat with you today.
I'm excited too. We're going to have a good conversation and talk about things that affect a lot of women, actually. And so we're going to jump right in and start off. One of the focuses today, we're going to talk about fitness and about your history with fitness. Let's go back to college. Let's start with kind of when you got excited in fitness, or even if it was before then, and just go through your fitness journey.
Sure. Yeah. I guess I really started getting interested in fitness in high school, actually. I was on the track team for a little bit. I joined my local YMCA and maintained that lifestyle until I got to college. And while I was there, I wanted to be a business major, thinking that I would use that degree to one day open my own gym. I didn't end up using my degree for that purpose, but it indeed came in handy later on. But I became a volunteer aerobics instructor, and I just really liked teaching other young students, young females in my college, how to get a simple, quick, effective workout in our busy lives, trying to juggle other things like, working part-time jobs and getting to class and getting good grades and all that. So it really just sparked this passion in me that it was something that I really needed to do in my life. But it then kind of felt dormant after I graduated from college. I went on to work in marketing and retail management, but then later on in my mid-20s or later 20s with my husband, I discovered CrossFit. We were actually already runners at that point. He got me into running and doing half marathons, and we did a marathon together. But then we discovered CrossFit, and we both kind of got hooked, and it became this thing that we could do together. So it was fun, but I ended up burning out from it. It was just so much all the time, just being sore constantly. And I knew that it was not something that I was probably going to be able to do forever.
That's interesting. Okay. I feel like that is something that concerns me about CrossFit. I know people who love it, but yeah, it's not something, it's not something that a lot of us can do forever, right? There are people who have found a way to make it work for a very long time. But you said when you discovered CrossFit, you felt like you got hooked. What was it that you liked about CrossFit?
I liked the fact that I didn't have to think about a workout. So previously when I worked out, I would have to come up with my own workouts. And if sometimes I would just go into the gym and just kind of wing it. But I felt like, the coach always had this great workout that was programmed for that day. And then being around other people there too, it was great. But like I said, after I became pregnant, then all of a sudden it was like I didn't have time to get out of the house. So I would go to CrossFit, but I was not consistent. And so it sort of didn't make sense for me to continue in that type of workout regimen because I wasn't getting the best out of it. It was just more frustrating me. So then that actually led me to creating everything else that I that I've been working on now, where I help women who are too busy to get to the gym, and I help them with quick workouts that are very effective, but without like too much intensity where they're like feeling like they can't keep up, or just, things that make women feel even more stressed out and overwhelmed than, we already are. The way we already feel sometimes in our lives, especially moms, especially as mothers.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, because I think that we do as moms have a lot of stress, and then a lot of times the workouts that we do actually can increase our stress. I'm a big fan of yoga because I recognize that that's what I need in my life. It's like, I need to slow down. I need to breathe. I need to be calm. And I need a workout that does that, instead of a workout that like is actually adding more stress, increasing, cortisol, and making me like, overstressed. And so that's a good point. Like, we need to recognize as moms what we need. And some moms do want to burn off that, they've got extra, just need to work it off, whatever frustration or whatever word you want to use there. And they need more of that intensity, but yet in a short amount of time, like you said, to just get in and get it done, because they're busy, because they've only got nap time, and nap time might be short today because you just never know. And so they've got to hurry and get that done. So I think there are a lot of different challenges for moms. I want to talk a little bit about this idea of intensity. So for a lot of women, we feel kind of compelled that we have to really, really push to make it count. You have to work out really hard. You have to be sore, like you were saying with CrossFit, to make it count. Why did you feel, and why do you think women in general feel like we have to do that?
Yes, I love this question. When I was my pre-mom days, I really felt like I was becoming this athlete that I never had a chance to be in my younger years. So I think I had this mentality that I had to work out like every single day, it's just what I had to do. So I gave myself this these really high expectations. And then when I couldn't really maintain them anymore, I started to become disappointed in myself. And then after a while, I was like, this is not worth it. Exercise and fitness and being healthy, this lifestyle is supposed to make me happier. It shouldn't be stressing me out. And the thing that I found with women and with some of my clients is that we tend to have this thing where we feel like we have to burn it off. Like I have to burn off the muffins I had for breakfast this morning, or I have to burn off the ice cream I had. And it's become this thing, this mentality that we feel like we have to like punish ourselves for something that we did, for a little indulgence that we had. And in reality, if we are living this nice, well-balanced lifestyle, there's really no need to, quote unquote, be killing ourselves with exercise, or, be feeling like we have to burn it off or punish ourselves, because that could all be a part of a healthy lifestyle. Like eating treats every once in a while is part of being a healthy person. Like, unless you never ever crave those things, which I don't know who doesn't, right? It's okay. It's okay to have those treats, and it's okay to have days off from exercising. It doesn't make us unhealthy. It's part of life. There's things that happen, and it doesn't have to be so intense and so just go so much all the time. And like you mentioned, yoga, I think it's really important to slow down and to really learn to listen to our bodies. And that's been a great thing after becoming a mom. Something that I've really learned is just to kind of slow down, to make time for meditation. I used to be so like, meditation, like I don't have time for that. And really just like 2 minutes of just sitting there quietly and being like, all right, how do I feel right now? And just allowing yourself to like feel the feelings that you're feeling could just really be so amazing, so life-changing.
Yes. Okay. I think that's so important. And I'm glad that you brought that up in this segment. Like, we're talking about intensity, we're talking about working out hard, and yet you're really bringing it back to balance. And the other piece that I'm hearing here is this permission. We set ourselves up to fail a lot of times. And yet, if we can give ourselves permission to have a treat, we can give ourselves permission to have a day off at the gym. We don't have to be perfect. That's not the goal. Because what I find, what I see a lot, and I've worked with a lot of women in this same, fitness is one of my things, right? And I've taught yoga and I've taught fitness for a long time. And so there's kind of a pendulum. People will swing over to the side. I'm all in. I'm only eating vegetables. I'm working out 7 days a week. And then they're exhausted. They're hungry. They want their birthday cake, whatever it is. They swing the other side. And then it's all the opposite. I'm not working out at all. I'm eating all the junk. I'm eating, whatever I want, too much of it. And it's kind of like when you give yourself permission, like you just mentioned, Julia, you say, okay, I can have treats. That's a part of a healthy lifestyle. When people have that permission, then they don't feel like, oh, now I've failed. Now I might as well just give it all up. No, this is part of my healthy lifestyle. So I'm just going to keep on with my healthy lifestyle, and I'm still going to go to the gym tomorrow.
Exactly. Yeah. It's knowing that it doesn't all end with, with a muffin or a cupcake. No, because the next day you're going to get back to working out again. Or if not the next day, the day after that. And then you're going to get back to making your smoothies and, your healthy eggs or whatever else. But it's just all part of it. It doesn't have to be so perfect all the time, because perfection doesn't exist.
Yeah. Have you always been able to have that attitude, or is that something you had to grow into?
It's definitely something I've had to grow into. Like I said, I had this period where I just felt like the more I did, the better. And it's not that I felt like I had to punish myself with exercise, but more just like I felt like the more I did, the better athlete I would be. I mentioned I'm a runner too. And last year, I really trained very hard to qualify for the Boston Marathon. And I really had this goal that I wanted to do that before having my second kid, before trying to have my second kid. So I, again, put pressure on myself. I think that's really been the one thing that I've struggled with. It's just like putting the pressure on myself where I had to just do more so I could be more, and looking back, you just take things into perspective, and yeah, it's okay to work hard. It's okay to be really passionate about something that makes you happy, whether it's fitness or something else. But at what point are you sacrificing other things that are also important to you? So it was something that I had to really think about last year.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit here. Have you ever struggled with your weight?
No, I have not. Although I did have a period, I think it was my junior year in college, where I did gain a little bit of weight. And I'm a petite girl. So it wasn't a lot, but it was enough that my clothes fit very differently. It was the only time in my life where that happened. And it wasn't until I got home that summer and I was like, whoa, what? I've been doing a lot of, drinking and eating unhealthy in college. I need to, what's going on here? This is not the healthy person that I've always been, that I always enjoyed being. So that was extra motivation that summer to just, cut back on the drinking, the college drinking, and focusing on eating healthier and avoiding the late night, greasy food
that lots of us do in college.
Yeah.
Now, okay. The reason why I ask that is because I think that I would have guessed that just from hearing your views on food and on exercise. I think that when women have struggled with their weight and they're coming to exercise a lot of times because they feel like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done with the way this body looks. I'm ready to make a change. And so I think coming from that mentality, a lot of women come in just ready to burn it off and work so hard and do what it takes. How does this kind of idea of moderation and balance and, going a little easier on yourself, listening to your body, how does that fit in with weight loss?
Oh, that's a very good question. So it all really goes back to that lifestyle that we seek, right? And maybe not everybody realizes it right away. I know sometimes people want the immediate weight loss. They want to be able to lose weight quickly for a trip, for a wedding or something like that. But in reality, I think that most, at least people that I've worked with, they want to be able to lose it and keep it off. So it's really being able to shift our mindset, and it goes back to if you have the type of mindset that can allow you to think, or allow you to give yourself the permission that, okay, there's going to be days where I can't exercise. There's going to be days where I can't eat the foods that I typically prepare for myself, but it's okay because sandwiched around those days where I'm not very proud of myself are going to be those days where I am doing all the things that I know are allowing me to be healthier and to feel better about myself, which all leads to making better choices, which leads to losing body weight, losing inches and all that.
Yes. Okay. I totally agree. For me, I'm right there with you, but it's taken me a process of dealing with, and I don't even want to say weight issues. A lot of it was mostly in my mind, but still a lot of dieting and losing weight and gaining weight and being on this whole process to recognize that that's not the cycle I want to be on. And that doesn't work for me. And that doesn't really work for anyone. And so to come to this idea of a lifestyle is really a process and can be a mental shift for a lot of people, but it just makes so much more sense. And once you're there, it helps you to have, health for life. Now, you mentioned briefly that you were training for the Boston Marathon. Tell us a little bit about your training and kind of that experience.
Yeah, so I was training to qualify for the Boston Marathon. So I basically didn't get in. And then I tried again in the fall and had a really awful marathon. It was this marathon in Pennsylvania that was just super, super hilly. And I ended up just like in tears at mile 20. I started walking and didn't think that I was going to make it. I was just ready to just like walk off the course. But the one thing about marathons is the crowd support. People are so encouraging at these events. And just like these random strangers yelling out my name, because I had my name on my bib. And they're like, Julia, go, come on. And I was like, all right. So I started shuffling and I was in pain at that point. My quads were killing me. So I started shuffling for a little bit and then I started running a little bit and I would walk a little bit again. And I kept doing it until like the finish. And I was very disappointed because I was like, oh my gosh, I thought this was really going to be it. I thought this was going to be my qualifier. And I'm like, all right, as soon as I qualify, then I can start trying to have another baby. So I was like, oh no, like now I have to figure out what other marathon I'm going to run. So then I ended up applying to another marathon a month later. And to make a long story short, I ended up qualifying with that one, it was such a great comeback. So
that's awesome. Yeah. Okay. Very cool. Now, that is exciting and congratulations that you have done that. I remember you said something about, so after you qualified, then did you start to slow down at that point in your training, in your physical health?
I did. So as soon as I finished that marathon, I told my husband, all right, let's try for another baby. And so, we'll shift gears now and I'll tell you all a little bit of what happened next. So what went from being such a high point in my life And like as a runner and as a fitness person and trainer and everything, I just felt so proud of my accomplishment of qualifying for Boston. But then I had my other goal, and with my son, with Frankie, I got pregnant right away. So I really thought that things were going to be the same. I did not suspect that we were going to have any issues. And month after month of not being pregnant, of negative pregnancy tests, I started to feel like something's wrong here. Like, what's going on? And after a few months, I reached out to my OB and I said, hey, I would like to get checked out because I've been trying. It's been almost 6 months now, and I'm almost 35. And so, we got tested, and, it turns out that we were 1 in 8, 1 in 8, 1 in 8 couples have trouble getting or staying pregnant. And secondary infertility is when you have trouble getting or staying pregnant after you've been successful before. So it was a little bit shocking. Again, my husband and I had no trouble the first time around. We're both very, very healthy people, and I couldn't help but just feel a little defeated. Like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. And then I started questioning myself, like, did I manifest this somehow? Like, was I too positive thinking and thinking that, it was going to happen just like boom, like the first time. So I had to deal with some, again, mindset stuff this time around again. And so we decided to pursue IVF. And yeah, so I've definitely learned a lot over the past several months. And it's definitely been a journey. It's been a marathon too, by the way. I can definitely compare it to a marathon, just how it's such a long process, and you have to be patient. You can't just sprint through it. There's no sprinting through it. You have to pace yourself and be patient with yourself. Be patient with others too, because not everybody knows how to support you when you're going through something like this.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. I think that's really in the context of this conversation, to see, how you were able to really push your body really hard, work really hard, get your body to do everything you wanted to do, complete that 26 miles on your second qualifier. You're in this place where you feel like you're in partnership with your body and you're working with your body. And then you're like, okay, body, now let's have a baby. And your body's not on board. And I can see how that shift is like, wait, I thought we were on the same page. Like, I've been taking care of you. And it's an interesting, just an interesting shift to kind of align your thinking with my body does what I want it to do, to like, okay, I need to slow down and do what my body wants to do right now. I need to figure this out from a different perspective. So I would love to just hear, through this process, through everything we've talked about today, so working out and, your whole journey, and then your journey with secondary infertility, what have you come to know about your body and about health?
Yeah. So by the way, Chanel, I just love how you put those two things and compare them, because not compare them, but
Connected.
You connected them. Yeah. And I've never really thought of it that way before. So thank you for pointing that out. It's revelation. So let's see. So what I've learned from my body, it's just amazing to me that, again, like the human body is just such a miracle. And, I don't know, everybody has a different, religion and spirituality, but we're all walking miracles. We really are. Um, the chances of getting pregnant are actually like very, very slim. And to think that, you know, some people get pregnant so easily and so quickly. I mean, that's just so amazing. And it's such a blessing, I think. Um, a really interesting thing that I learned actually was that as women, we're born with like a million eggs. And then over time, it decreases. So, like puberty, I think it goes down to like 300 or 400,000. And we typically ovulate about 10% of like 300 or 400 will be ovulated in our lifetime. And I always thought that we just ovulate one egg, but it turns out we have all these other follicles that get activated, but then our body actually reabsorbs them, which I think is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So during my IVF process, I learned that the medication that they give us helps make those follicles that would normally just get reabsorbed from back into your body. It helps keep those follicles so that way we get more eggs and better chances of getting pregnant. So that was very, very cool to learn.
Yeah. That is cool. Okay. I think I love this. I think that we are all walking miracles. And I think to take it to recognize whatever your body is doing or not doing that you want it to. And that looks different for a lot of women. That's fertility, yes, but that's also, the way our bodies look or the things our bodies can do or these random aches and pains that we have. It's so easy to get frustrated and to focus on that thing and to lose sight of this, that we are walking miracles, that the fact that we're here, that the fact that we have these bodies is a miracle and it's amazing. And we need to take all the good from that we can. So I think one way to do that, one way to honor our bodies and appreciate the good that they can do is to move them, like we've talked about today, to find movement and to search out movement that your body is looking for, to tune in to what does my body want? Does my body want to sit here all day? Probably not. I need to stand up. I need to move, and recognizing that, and then to accept when we need to those things that our body, is not exactly the way that we want it to be. So I think there's a lot of food for thought here in the things that we've talked about today. Julia, I know that you work with women and help them on their fitness. Tell people where they can get in touch with you.
Yes, so I have a free Facebook group, and I usually do a live stream on Mondays where I talk about mindset. Sometimes I talk about questions that are submitted to me, but usually they're very mindset related. So the name of the group is the Fit Femmes, FEMMES Tribe. And I'm also on Instagram, the Petite Fashionista.
Okay, awesome. Well, I will link to both of those. Thank you so much for being with us today. And I wish you all the best with baby number 2 and your fitness and the things that you're teaching women. Thanks for the good that you're putting out there.
Thank you. I will keep you posted on everything. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening to Moms Who Know. I hope this episode was meaningful for you and that you got some good ideas on how to think about your body, how to work with your body, and to really listen to your body. I appreciated Julia being open and vulnerable and sharing a little bit about her struggles with secondary infertility. I think a lot of times it's easy to share our struggles after the fact, after we've been through them and we're on the other side and it has a happy ending. Julia's still in the middle. She's not to her happy ending yet. And she told me after the call that this was the first time she'd really spoken about that publicly. And so I just want to say that I appreciate that, her willingness to open up, because I know that can be a hard thing to do. Now, I want to hear from you guys with our discussion question of the week. And this week, I wanted to ask you, what does it mean to you to listen to your body? This is something I've thought a lot about. I teach yoga. I love this concept of listening to your body. So you can check out my answer at Instagram or Facebook. If you just search Moms Who Know podcast, you will find me. It's on my Facebook group, not my Facebook page, and then on Instagram. And I would love to hear your answer. It's so much fun when people are chiming in, when I'm getting to hear from you and learn from you. So come and join us there if you're not already, and we'll see you next week on Moms Who Know.